What if I told you that the heartbreak you're feeling right now isn't your enemy? What if I said the pain gripping your soul is a tool, an opportunity to forge yourself into something greater, something unshakable? Welcome to the Stoic's Guide to Surviving a Breakup, where you will not only learn to overcome the agony of a broken heart, but will rise above it, stronger, wiser, and more in control than you ever thought possible. You see, pain has a purpose, and we're about to unravel that purpose. If you're ready to transform your suffering into strength, if you're done being crushed by emotions and want to learn the ancient secrets of the Stoics to regain control, then this is the guide for you. Stick around. This is your path to fortitude, and I promise it's worth every step. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on more content that helps you master the art of Stoic living. Let's begin. Embrace the pain as your teacher. Breakups hurt. There's no denying it. The sharp sting of loss, the heavy weight of loneliness. It feels like the world is collapsing. But the first thing we must understand as practitioners of Stoicism is this: pain is a teacher, not an enemy. The great philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the cornerstone of Stoic thought, the understanding that external events do not control us, our perceptions do. The breakup is an event. How you react to it defines who you are. In these moments of sorrow, the true Stoic reframes their perspective. This isn't the end of you, it's the beginning of a transformation. Imagine a blacksmith hammering iron into shape. Each blow of the hammer is painful, but it is necessary for the metal to become stronger. The Stoic sees heartbreak in the same way. Instead of recoiling from the pain, we lean into it. We allow it to temper us, to shape us into individuals capable of handling even greater challenges. It's crucial to realize that by avoiding pain, we only make it stronger. It's like running from a shadow. The faster you run, the larger it seems to grow. In facing the pain head-on, we diminish its power over us. This doesn't mean indulging in sorrow or wallowing in self-pity. No, the Stoic acknowledges the hurt, but refuses to be defined by it. As Seneca once wrote, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. Every breath you take during this storm is an act of defiance, a statement that you are more than your suffering." So how do we embrace this pain? We start by accepting that it is a natural part of life. Love, loss, and heartache are inevitable. It is not our job to avoid them, but to confront them with grace and courage. The Stoic understands that this pain is temporary. It will pass, just as the seasons change. But what remains after the pain has subsided is a stronger, more resilient you. This is the first step in healing, a mindset shift that turns heartbreak into a tool for personal growth. Control what you can, let go of what you can't. One of the most profound teachings of Stoicism is the dichotomy of control. Marcus Aurelius, in his meditations, often reminded himself of this principle. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. In the aftermath of a breakup, it's easy to spiral into thoughts of what if and if only. We torment ourselves with fantasies of how things could have been different, if only we had said the right words, made the right moves. But the truth, as Stoicism teaches us, is that much of what happens in life is beyond our control. What we can control, however, is how we respond. The Stoic approach to heartbreak is to focus on this power. We cannot change the fact that the relationship ended, but we can control how we allow that fact to shape us. Do we fall into despair, or do we rise with renewed strength? This is where our agency lies, in the choices we make moving forward. You might be tempted to cling to the past, to grasp at memories of a love that is no longer there, but understand this. Attachment to what is gone is a recipe for prolonged suffering. Letting go of what we cannot control is not an act of surrender, it is an act of liberation. It frees us from the chains of past events and opens the door to new possibilities. As Epictetus famously advised, don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well. We must accept the breakup as something that has happened and is now beyond our influence. This acceptance is the foundation of peace. But how do we practice this letting go in real time? It starts with shifting our focus inward. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong or who is to blame, we concentrate on what is within our control, our thoughts, our actions, and our present moment. The Stoic does not waste time in futile reflection of the past. Instead, they focus on cultivating a strong mind, one that can weather any storm. We must let go of what we cannot change, for only then can we truly begin to heal. Mastering your emotions. Emotions, especially in the wake of a breakup, can feel overwhelming. Anger, sadness, regret. They flood the mind, demanding attention. But here's the Stoic truth. Emotions are not to be feared, nor should they be our masters. As Stoics, we understand that emotions, like the external world, do not control us unless we allow them to. The goal is not to suppress emotions, but to govern them wisely, to become the ruler of our inner world rather than its victim. Seneca wrote extensively about the importance of emotional control, stating, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." How often after a breakup do we find ourselves reliving the painful moments, magnifying them in our minds until they become unbearable? This is the mind running wild, unchecked, allowing emotions to dictate our reality. But the Stoic knows better. We cannot avoid emotions, but we can guide them, direct them toward useful ends. The first step in mastering your emotions is recognizing that they are not inherently good or bad. They simply are. It's what we do with them that counts. When anger rises, we don't lash out. We observe it, understand its source, and decide how to respond. When sadness threatens to consume us, we don't drown in it. We acknowledge it and then redirect our focus to what we can improve. The Stoic constantly questions, is this emotion helping me become stronger, or is it weakening my resolve? This mastery of emotions is not about becoming cold or detached. On the contrary, it's about experiencing emotions fully without allowing them to dictate our actions. It's about choosing to remain calm and composed even when the world around us is chaotic. As Marcus Aurelius said, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. The power to change how we feel is always in our hands. Rebuilding through purpose and virtue. After the storm of a breakup has passed, many find themselves adrift, uncertain of where to go next. But in the Stoic view, this is where real transformation begins. Heartbreak, in its rawest form, is an invitation to rebuild ourselves, not from the remnants of the past, but with a clear new purpose rooted in virtue. Stoicism teaches us that virtue is the only true good. Everything else, pleasure, pain, loss, is secondary. To heal from heartbreak, we must anchor ourselves in this principle. Virtue, for the Stoic, is defined by wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These are the guiding lights that lead us out of despair. When we are heartbroken, we are often tempted to seek comfort in distractions, temporary pleasures, unhealthy coping mechanisms, but these things only delay healing. The Stoic understands that true recovery comes from aligning ourselves with our highest virtues. Wisdom reminds us that this pain, like all things, is fleeting. Courage gives us the strength to face our grief without running from it. Justice teaches us to act with fairness, even when we feel wronged. And temperance keeps us balanced, preventing us from indulging in excess. It is in this pursuit of virtue that we find our purpose once again. The breakup does not define us. What defines us is how we choose to respond, how we choose to live in alignment with our values. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, often reflected on the importance of living in accordance with nature. He said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In the context of a breakup, this means we stop wasting time on what was lost and start focusing on who we are becoming. We rebuild ourselves by turning inward and strengthening our character. This is the ultimate Stoic path to healing, finding meaning in suffering and using it as a catalyst for growth. The heart may break, but the spirit does not have to. By committing ourselves to virtue, we rise above the pain and emerge not only healed but transformed. Finding freedom in acceptance. Acceptance is perhaps the hardest lesson to learn, especially after a breakup. Our minds are wired to resist change, to cling to what we know, even when it's gone. But for the Stoic, acceptance is not about resignation, it is about finding freedom. As Epictetus said, "He who is not disturbed by that which is not his own, who takes no account of anything that is beyond his control, is free." This is the ultimate goal, to achieve a state of inner freedom, where external circumstances no longer dictate our peace of mind. After heartbreak, it's easy to feel trapped in a web of emotions and what-ifs, but these are chains of our own making. The Stoic teaches us to release ourselves by accepting reality for what it is, not what we wish it to be. The relationship is over, that is the fact. We can mourn, we can grieve, but we must also accept. When we resist what has already happened, we are fighting a battle we can never win. But when we accept it, we allow ourselves to move forward, unburdened by the weight of the past. Acceptance, however, does not mean we dismiss our emotions or pretend they don't exist. Rather, we acknowledge them, understand them, and then let them go. Stoicism calls us to look at life with clarity, to strip away the illusions and see things as they truly are. A breakup, painful as it may be, is just one event in the vast sea of life. It does not define us unless we allow it to. As Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Acceptance allows us to stop wasting time on what cannot be changed and focus on the future that we can shape. In the end, acceptance brings with it a profound sense of liberation. We no longer need to cling to what is lost or dwell on what might have been. Instead, we turn our attention to what lies ahead. We find peace in knowing that life, with all its unpredictability and hardship, is still ours to live. And in that realization, we discover the true freedom that Stoicism promises, a freedom that is not dependent on external circumstances, but is rooted deeply within ourselves. This is the path of healing, not just to survive the heartbreak, but to rise above it, stronger and freer than before.